The Chargers have made some massive improvements this year, from free agency pickups to draft picks and player development and everything in between. This team has come a long way from last year to this year. But no matter how great of a roster this team may have, there's still a lot of questions that we may have. So in this video, we're going to be talking about my 5 biggest worries for this Chargers team entering the 2022 season. But before we get into things, there's something that I want to show you guys. And here it is. We now have a new room to film in. And for some of you guys that have been on this channel for quite some time and have been viewing for a very long time, you may recognize this room, as this was the room that everything kind of started off as. Originally, I had my computer sitting over here, and the backdrop was the shelving units over here. But over the past couple months here, I've been really working on this room, not only trying to make it more usable because it was really cluttered and really tight, but also kind of making it feel more of what I enjoy. Not only am I a huge nerd, for anyone that didn't know that, I love comics, I love video games. This whole shelf over here is full of video games, but obviously I love sports also, so I brought a lot of my sports memorabilia in here. And some of this stuff you actually couldn't see because it was behind the camera in the old place, but you know, if you guys want to and you're interested, maybe if I get 3 comments down below, or if I have just a few people that are genuinely interested, I can do a room tour, because honestly, I'm really happy with how this turned out. But let's not my mic just cut. Let's not waste any more time with that. If you enjoy this video, give me a like. If you really enjoy this channel altogether, why not subscribe? There's a lot of you that are coming back on a daily basis anyways, and if I'm posting daily and you're coming back, why not subscribe? Not only does it help me a lot, but if you're coming back, why not just subscribe instead of trying to locate me later? But let's not waste any more of your time. Jeez, I'm at a loss for words right now. I'm just stuttering. Holy. Let's get right into this. My 5 biggest worries pertaining to the Chargers season as it approaches ever so closely. The one biggest worry, which I think most people have this as their biggest worry, especially for this Chargers team that has filled out many needs on offense and defense. My biggest worry is the scramble for right tackle. Who will start at right tackle? Now, there are a few options for this team. You have Storm Norton, who is the least likely option, who probably won't even be on this team by the end of the team, but you still have to bring him up. Then you have Trey Pipkins, who did start a few games this past year and definitely looked like he improved quite a bit as the year progressed. In the Kansas City game, he looked very good, and there's been lots and lots of reports that over this training camp, he has improved even more at a much more substantial rate, and he's improved a lot, and some people say that he is likely going to be that starting right tackle right away. But you got to also look at some of these other options here. For one, the Chargers drafted Jameer Sawyer, a late round pick, but he's able to play both the guard position and the tackle position, and for the most part he has been playing the guard position at training camp. But we can't forget that he has the ability to play right tackle if need be, so that is quite a good option. Although he has played guard for most of training camp, he did play tackle in college for pretty much split reps between guard and tackle. We may see a mix-up where he goes over there and competes. The last option, which honestly is my favorite option, I think a lot of people's favorite option, is Matt Feiler. Matt Feiler, he played at an extremely high level of right tackle over at the Steelers organization before he comes over to the Chargers. Chargers bring him in. They put him at guard because that was a bigger need at the time. But even Brandon Staley himself has mentioned using Feiler at that tackle position in some of these press conferences that he's had. Not only does he believe in Feiler's ability to play multiple positions, but he definitely is taking into consideration how good he is and how good some of the other options behind Feiler at the guard position are, and the competition for right tackle. So there is a possibility that we see Feiler at the tackle position. That is a very good idea, especially with who could step in at that guard position. Again, you could see Sawyer step in, or there's some other guys that possibly step up at that guard position. So the scramble for right tackle is definitely my biggest, or one of the biggest worries entering this Chargers season. Now, my next biggest worry pertains to the defense. We're switching sides of the ball. Offense, and now we're going defense. The biggest worry on defense for me is who will be the tone setter at the linebacker position. Now, we do have Drew Tranquill and we do have Kenneth Murray, who at times have both shown a great spark, a great ability to become a very, very good linebacker. But we did just use Kaiser White. He moved on to the Eagles. He was the leading tackler last season. We did just lose Uchenna Nwosu. Although he played more of an edge role this past year, he was still kind of a linebacker, an outside linebacker. And he was definitely a big help, and he ends up also leaving the team. Now we're left with Drew Tranquill and Kenneth Murray. So let's start with Drew Tranquill. In 2021 and 2022 season, this past season, he had 76 tackles, which was 4th on the team in only 14 games, which is a 5.4 tackles per game. So he would be right about 90 if he played all of the games this season, which would still be 4th, by the way, for anyone wondering that. But a 5.4 tackles per game is still very good. 4th on the team is still very good. 76 tackles is a very, very considerable number, especially when you take in consideration that Kaiser White was the starting linebacker and was the leading tackler on this team. So if you put in Drew Tranquill, and Drew Tranquill's already got these good numbers at that backup role, he likely could have done very similar things to Kaiser White. Now in 2020 and 2021, Drew Tranquill only played half of a game before he had a really, really bad injury and missed the remainder of the season. Now Kenneth Murray, on the other hand, has a similar situation, but flipped. Last year, 2021-2022 season, he played 11 games. He had 31 tackles, which was 16th on the team. He played 11 games and a 2.8 tackles per game. But there was a lot of things going for him, going for Kenneth Murray, that weren't on the good side of things. He just had surgery like a couple of weeks back because of an injury that occurred during the regular season that they thought was going to heal right. It never healed right. They pushed it back thinking maybe just a little bit more time. Now he needs surgery. He's not at training camp because of the surgery, obviously. And that's a big worry. But he also lost one of his brothers. And he chose to play through that. So that's definitely going to affect him on a mental level as well as his injury physically. Him having a down year is not that big of a worry for me. Now, I did have him as one of my breakout players. If you guys haven't watched that video, I made 5 breakout players for the Chargers on the defense side of things. I really, really enjoyed that video, and it did really well. So if you want to go check that out, feel free. But Kenneth Murray in 2020 and 2021, his rookie year, by the way, let's not forget that, he had 107 tackles, which was number 1 on this roster. 107 for the team was the highest. He did that in 16 games, didn't miss a single game in his rookie year, and he's 6.7 tackles per game. Now, he played extremely, extremely good in his rookie year, but the biggest worry for Kenneth Murray is probably the biggest strength for Drew Tranquill, the coverage. Kenneth Murray is incredibly, incredibly good at run stuffing, at getting to the passer, and just kind of being in the middle of the field. Well, Drew Tranquill is really good at getting in zones and breaking up passes and just kind of getting in the way of things. So you have 2 incredibly, incredibly different types of play. So who do you prefer? I feel like both play an integral role in this defense. Both are extremely athletic, fast, and do have power and strength to finish through tackles. And I expect both these guys to be on this team this coming year. But who will be the starter? I'm not sure. We're a long ways from that. And Kenneth Murray just had surgery, so we can't really say how he'll turn out. But these guys both, I expect to split pretty similar reps just because their ability to play with that speed and that burst, and the fact that the DBs improved so much might allow the linebackers to kind of just sit in that middle and not worry about running all over covering zones, and maybe even add some blitzes, which I think would help Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquill a lot. Now, some other options, because it's good to look at potential free agents in this situation when you have a guy that's injured and a guy that maybe hasn't reached his full potential. Some potential free agent options for the Chargers at that linebacker position. We do have Anthony Barr from the Vikings, a player that I think a lot of Chargers fans did want just a few years ago, thought they were going to trade for. Land him not. Anthony Barr is still in free agency. We also have Jamie Collins, who was an incredible linebacker for the Patriots. Obviously, with age, he has went down, but he could still be a pretty solid piece, especially if you want a veteran presence like the Chargers possibly could want right now. And let's not forget the veteran presence that the Chargers have consistently picked up at that linebacker position as time has went on. So this could be a good option. But Jamie Collins, another good option. And the last guy I have listed as a potential free agent is Dante Hightower. Now you'll notice a similar trend. All these guys are older, past their prime, but still guys that can get it done when they need to. Every single one of these guys was in the top 50 for remaining free agents. And they were definitely, all of them are in the top 5 for remaining free agent linebackers. These are all very, very good options. Just a thought. If Kenneth Murray's not healing right, if Drew Tranquill's not stepping up, Chargers do have money. Maybe you go get a linebacker. Now, the next kind of worry that I have for this team is a worry that maybe doesn't directly pertain to this team, this roster, but as a Chargers fan in general is what it pertains to. And that is the special teams. Can the special teams step up? Now, not to bring up any bad memories, but 2010, the Chargers had the best offense and the best defense in the entire league and missed the playoffs because of their special teams was the worst in the league. That's probably the biggest reason why I'm worried about the special teams. Now, we did likely improve at the kicker spot when we added Dustin Hopkins last year, and we moved on from Ty Long at punter and brought in a new punter that could also mean good things for this team and this roster. But let's go over some of the statistics last year because although it's not directly relevant to what's going to happen this year, it is good to compare relatively because it's not extremely likely that you're going to jump a huge difference at a special teams position because you're not really adding a ton of new players, especially Dustin Hopkins staying. For one, the Chargers were 32nd in punt return yards per attempt, which is not good. Last in the league at getting yards when a punt has occurred. And I don't think that's a thing with the return man. I think that's more of a blocking difficulty. And that's something you coach up. How do you get blocks? How do you run back? Where do you stop? Who do you find to block? I think that's a big thing that can be coached up. And I expect Brandon Staley to focus on that a little bit. But definitely adding in a new kick returner / punt returner, which the Chargers did, may help to improve that and bolster that, even though Andre Roberts was doing very, very good for this team last year. The Chargers were also 5th in kick return yards, so although they were not doing good in punt returns, they were one of the best at kick return yards. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. You got to look at both sides of the coin. The team's blocking on kick return, pretty good. But blocking a punt return is a very different story because you're starting on one side, you got to run all the way back and set up a block instead of just the ball gets kicked off, you run a little bit back and then turn. It's a very, very different type of blocking scheme. They were 9th in field goal percentage, which is not terrible, not at all, honestly, if we're being brutally honest. Outside of the 50-plus yarders, I think he was above like 60% in every single part of the field. Dustin Hopkins was like 1 for 3 or 1 for 4 from 50-plus, which is not a big worry. So 9th in field goal percentage is a very, very good number. They were 30th in extra point percentage, though. They were one of the worst in the league today. And that, not the best. Now, let's do remember that Dustin Hopkins was not on this team the entire year. We did have Verskowski, I want to say his name was, and I might be saying it wrong, or I might be completely wrong, but it was not completely Dustin Hopkins' fault. And I'd like to know what his statistics were. I did not look that up, but I think that'd be a big help. But the team was 30th in extra point percentage. Now, you do have to remember that this team went for second point, 2-point conversions a lot more than a lot of other teams. So maybe if they're kicking those field goals, the number goes up, you go higher in the rankings. We all get that. But still, 30th is not very good. They were also 31st in punt yards, I should say. What Ty Long's punting. And we got a new punter, which will be a big help towards that number. So we don't need to focus on that too much. And they were 25th in yards per punt, which tells you that the Chargers weren't punting as much as other teams if they're 31st in wait. Oh, no. 25th in yards per punt. They were 31st in punts. So the Chargers punted the second least in the entire league, but they were 25th in yards per punt. So being 31st in amount of times punted, not always a bad thing because Staley's going to be going for it. But 25th in yards per punt is a bad thing. You should say that that's a bad thing. But again, you bring a new punter, not a big worry. Now, speaking of going for it, and speaking of Staley, my fourth biggest worry for this team is will Coach Staley's risks ruin the Bolts' season? Now, okay? I think Coach Staley's in a perfect position to go for that Coach of the Year this year. I do. I think he's built an amazing team. I think he's an incredible coach. And, there's just some times where he looks at the stats too much and puts you in a bad position. Now, we're going to go through the stats here, and let's point some out. These are incredible stats, but you also have to look at some of the situations where it doesn't work. They're 5th in third down conversion percentage. That's very good. They're 4th in fourth down conversion percentage. Really good. 4th in red zone touchdown percentage. Really good. Those are like the key conversion percentages. Those are all really good. Top 5 in every single major conversion statistic. Really, really good numbers. So when you're going for it, you're getting it. When you need it on third down, you're getting it. When you need it on fourth down, you're getting it. When you're in that red zone, you're likely to get it. But let's not forget about the times that they don't get it and the situations that the Bolts get put in. Some of the bad choices that occurred. Now, you could say that taking a timeout in that Raiders game is a bad choice. But if he didn't have the play set up, then you call timeout. You want to make sure that you're in the best position. So, I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about going for it on your side of the field, on your 20-yard line on fourth down, and not getting it, and the other team gets it right there, right on the edge of the red zone. I'm talking about with a couple minutes left in the first half and the ability to go take a field goal and you go for it instead, and the other team now has an opportunity to go score instead of you burning a little bit more clock or taking the points. I'm talking about having an opportunity for a very easy field goal, and it's 4th and 4, and instead you choose to go for it and you don't convert on it, and you get no points. There's this saying, 7 points is better than 3 points. It is. But 3 points is better than no points. So, if you can get 7 points, great. But if you are stuck and it's 4th and 4 and you don't have a play that 100% of the time is going to work because of the scheme of the other team, just take a few points. Especially in a really, really close game like that. And early games, I feel like that's the biggest issue is Staley would take a risk really early in the game when you don't have to take a risk and you'd be in a bad position. And then the other team would go score and now you're in a worse position because you're lower. And now you have to take a risk later in the game because of it. So Staley's risks are a worry for me, although I do love it. I love seeing the team on the offense try it out in 4th and 5 and be like, hey, we're going to get this. I love that. I love the energy. I love the trust in the players. I love the players' trust in the coaches. Just some of the occasions that it happens are a worry for me. Now, the last thing, my number 5 point, is something that has been a key problem for the Chargers team for an extremely, extremely long time. And I think a lot of you probably know what it is. Injuries. Can the Bolts stay healthy? We've had some top guys get injured. I just talked about Kenneth Murray's just had surgery. Drew Tranquill missed a whole season 2 years back. Oh, that was loud. There you go. 2 linebackers that are very important to this team that have had injuries the past few years. Derwin James has missed a ton of time with this roster. That's not good. Joey Bosa has missed time because of injuries pretty much every single season. That's not good. When you have your top guys, your Pro Bowlers missing time, that's something that's not good at all. Khalil Mack missed time last year. He was brought to this team, okay, different situation, but you bring him to the team and he had injury problems last year. Mike Williams had injury problems. Keenan Allen used to. He's fixed it. Great for him. Austin Eckler, he seems like he's in and out of the lineup. Isaiah Spiller being on this team, taking some weight off his back, might be a good help for him. But this team's injuries have just been a burden on this team year in and year out, and you hope to see that change with this team. New culture, new coach. Well, last year was new coach, new culture, new players. You hope to see that change very soon. So those were the 5 big stories I have for the Chargers entering this 2022-23 season. If you have any other worries, or if you think one of these is completely wrong, comment it down below. I love having a conversation with you guys. I reply to pretty much every comment that I can understand, or there's a way to respond to. There's some comments that I just can't comprehend what you're trying to say, and I won't respond to them, but I try to respond to every single one. I love having a conversation with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like. If you really enjoyed this video and you enjoy this channel, why not subscribe? Because I post daily content, NFL, NBA, and NHL. And if you guys want a room tour, if I get 3 comments saying, let's see a room tour, I will give you guys a room tour. It won't be an incredible video. It won't be a long video, but I will give you guys a room tour. Now, as always, I hope touched them today. Hope made you smile. Hope made you laugh. That's something that's really important to me. Affect someone else's day in a great way, because every single day can be a great day for us if we all just put in the effort. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.
But something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that